If you are creating a brand, creating content, or selling a product, and you do not understand how your customer thinks, you will fail. Not maybe, not eventually. You will fail. It will look right. It will feel right. It will feel perfect, but it will still fail because the foundation was never there. The biggest detriment to your business is not creating bad content or producing a bad product. It's creating an audience that never intended on buying from you. When you skip the psychology of understanding your customer, you speak the wrong language and you attract the wrong audience, and you're building momentum in the wrong direction. And the longer that continues, the harder it is to reverse. Most brands don't die from bad products. They die from never understanding the customer they were truly serving. And I learned this the hard way. Building a clothing brand while I was in high school, a luxury clothing brand, and I never understood why people did not see me as a luxury clothing brand that I wanted to position myself as. I thought my products was the missing piece of positioning my brand as a luxury clothing brand. I realized it wasn't. I never went deep down to understand the psychology of my customer. And that gap cost me my business. And that gap is costing plenty businesses and creators right now. And in this video, I'm going to go over the active framework, a 6-layer framework to go deep in and understand the psychology of your customer. Because most brands never go this deep into customer psychology. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand how your customers think, why your customers are not buying, and how to create content specifically for them to where it never feels like you're selling a product again. Let's get into it. So when I started my clothing brand, nobody couldn't tell me I didn't have a luxury brand. The vision was there, the feeling, everything. I felt I had everything in me to run a luxury clothing brand. I believed in what I was building, but the customers weren't seeing eye to eye on how I viewed my brand. And honestly, it was frustrating. I built my business like a baby, and later on I learned that your customers don't care how much you really worked onto your business, because they'll never have the same emotion that you have with the baby that you're building, the business that you're building. The sales weren't reflecting that vision that I had. And for the longest time, I just could not figure out what was the missing piece. I kept thinking, man, if I just improved the product, man, if I refined the aesthetic, man, if I posted more consistently, man, if I just showed more people my brand, man, if I got my message across a lot clearer, I would get more sales and that people would finally understand this is a luxury clothing brand. But people never did. And eventually it cost me to stop running my business. And I didn't understand this until the brand was actually over. Because the belief I was operating from destroyed everything, literally everything, before I knew what was happening. I believe because I saw my brand as luxury, others saw it as luxury as well. I was projecting my own perception of my brand onto other people, hoping they see it the same way I see it. And I had never studied my customer. I had never asked who they were. I never asked what they valued. I never asked what luxury meant to them, or whether they even trusted a brand like mine to deliver it. I assumed my vision was enough, but it wasn't. And that assumption is the same one costing most brands today. So I began to study top performing brands. I began to look at creators and brands who went deep down into the customer psychology and how they're building their business around it. I studied how they operated when I clicked on them. When I started studying how top brands actually operate, it clicked. I started looking at who was buying from those brands. Not just the demographics, but the psychology. What did they believe before they bought? What were they afraid of? What did owning that product say about who they were? And I realized these brands weren't just selling products, man. They were speaking directly to a customer. They understood at a level most brands would never reach. That gap between what I assumed about my customer and what I should have known is what the active framework closes. It starts with the very first layer. Before you build another campaign, post another piece of content, spend another dollar on marketing, you need to understand the 6 layers of your customer psychology. The first layer in active is the ache. Think about the last time you had a headache and it just wouldn't go away. Nothing worked until you took something that directly targeted that pain. That's exactly what your brand needs to be for your customer. Not nice to have, but the thing that finally makes the reoccurring pain stop. Think about Gymshark. Before Ben Francis had built it, there was a silent frustration in every gym. that you could not find clothes that fit the lifestyle, that you cannot wear clothes that you wore on a daily basis to the gym. You couldn't find the aesthetic you really wanted in the gym. Athletic wear had existed, but nothing that made you look and feel the part while you were training. A recurring theme that showed up every single time someone walked into a gym, feeling like their clothes did not match their identity. Wearing clothes, the sleeveless tees, but the little skinny sleeveless tees, but it didn't show no kind of lifestyle. It didn't project the person that they were. Then identified an ache and built an entire brand around solving that. Now you see Gymshark in every gym in the world. That is what happens when a brand understands the ache before they build the product. Now, to help you on this, 3 questions to ask yourself about your customer right now to solve this is: 1, what pain keeps showing up in their life regardless of what they've already tried to fix it with? 2, what solution have they been looking for that nobody has delivered completely? And lastly, what would their life feel like if that pain finally went away for good? The ache is never a one-time problem. It's reoccurring in your content, your product, and your marketing all needs to speak to it before they speak to anything else. The foundation of every successful brand is understanding the pain the customer wakes up with every single day. Without that foundation, you're not building a business. You're just going along guessing. But guess what? The ache doesn't tell you everything, because your customer isn't just in pain. They have a specific belief that's driving their behavior that you have not figured out yet and solved for it. And that's the C, conviction. The ache tells you what hurts. The conviction tells you why they have not fixed it yet. Your customer conviction is the belief driving their behavior. Right now, someone who believes they need to lose weight is making these changes, working out more, eating right, making different purchasing decisions, all because of the one conviction that they need to lose weight. When you understand what that belief is, driving your customers' behavior, you know exactly where you need to meet them and exactly what your content needs to say. Look, right? Look at the crowds that followed Jesus in the Bible. They weren't just following out of curiosity. They were following because they had a deep conviction that the Messiah was coming and he was here. That belief drove everything. It drove them to leave their homes, to scream, Hosanna, Hosanna, to push through the crowds just to get close to him, just to touch his garment. That one conviction, that conviction can predict every single behavior that your customer is going to make as you are marketing to them. And your customer is no different. That conviction can predict every single behavior that somebody makes. It's the same thing for your customer. There's a belief that they are carrying right now that's either driving them towards your product or keeping them away from it. Your job is to find out which one it is and speak directly to it. Start by asking, what problem is your product or service solving? Get into your customer's shoes. Ask what belief is driving the behavior that will eventually lead to them purchasing. Work backwards from the purchase decision to the root conviction. What did they have to believe before they were even ready to look for a solution? That belief is the entry point for every piece of content that you create. You don't change a customer's behavior by telling them what to do. You change it by understanding what they already believe and meeting them where they are. Now, guess what? We understand that they're pain. We understand what they're going through. We understand what's driving their behavior. But here's what most brands miss completely. Knowing both of these things still does not understand why the customer has not taken action yet. And this is the T, which stands for attention. Your customers know they already have a problem. They know they need a solution. So why aren't they buying from you? The tension is what stops your customers dead in their tracks. It's the barrier standing between their conviction and their action. When you understand exactly what the barrier is, you can call it out directly in your content. You can build a bridge over it and remove the resistance that's keeping them from actually accepting the product. Think about the sampling stations at a grocery store, right? These brands aren't just handing out food just for fun. They're solving a specific tension that they know customers face. They know they know customers may not just trust their brand. They know they probably don't want to buy this product and waste money on it and it'd be nasty. They know their customers probably have never even heard of this product. So they build a bridge by having these sampling stations in stores like Sam's. So you can taste the food and it entices them to actually, what is this? This is good. I may want to buy this for the week or buy this for my kids. And they actually go out and buy the actual product. That is the tension that they are solving, and it's what you need to do. So instead of asking you to take the risk, they remove the tension completely. One simple and the tension dissolves. This is not a marketing tactic. It's that these brands understood exactly what was stopping their customer from buying from them, and they built a solution around it before the customers could even ask for the product. Now, what you need to do is ask yourself 3 questions. What choices are they avoiding and why? Now, ask yourself 3 questions about your customers right now. What choice are they actively avoiding and why? What are they afraid that the choice will cost them? Is it their money, their time, or their identity? What are they searching, scrolling, or consuming right now to try to resolve that tension without fully committing? Now, the answer to those 3 questions will tell you exactly what your content needs to address before it asks for anything in return. When tension is involved, your customer will never take action. Something has to push them over that barrier. It's your job to understand what that barrier is before you spend a dollar trying to move them. Now, we know the pain, their convictions, and what's stopping them from acting. But here's a layer that will separate just good marketing from great marketing. Before the customer buys the product, they have to let go of something. And this is identity. Before they buy that product and they have to let go of something, it's the person that they currently are right now. Identity risk is understanding what version of themselves your customer has to release to accept the product that you are selling to them. If you can't identify who they are right now, you'll never be able to take them through the transformational journey your brand promises. Every successful supplement or fitness brand understands this to the T. They understand this so well. Their customer has to let go of being the person who skips the gym, makes excuses, cheats on their diet, and sells for less. The best brands in this space don't just sell a product, they sell the lifestyle. They sell what's at risk. They sell what they need to let go of. They sell how to let the death of an old identity die and a new one come about. The transformation is why people buy, and more importantly, why these customers will stay loyal to your brand. So with these fitness brands and supplement brands, they'll showcase that you will have to let go of the person who does not care about their diet, does not care about going to the gym, does not care about getting up and putting forth your best effort. They know they have to let go of that person. So using these 3 questions will help you formulate a strategy to the same thing that these brands are doing. Who would they disappoint by changing? What comfort would they lose? And what version of themselves would have to die for them to fully commit to what your brand offers? The answers tell you exactly what transformation your content needs to sell before it sells the product. Identity creates the lens through which your customer will see themselves, the reality that they live in. Your brand's job is to show them a new lens worth looking through. Now, we understand who they're letting go of, but who are they trying to become? And that's vision. So, who are they trying to become? Once you understand the identity your customer is releasing, you can forecast the person they desire to become. When you see their vision clearly, you can lead them directly to it, which helps your customer actually feel like, man, they understand who I want to be. I want to shop like them because they're portraying the same message that I feel about myself. And working backwards from that vision tells you exactly what your content, your product, or your brand needs to say at every step. Now, going back to the brand Gymshark, they do this better than anybody. Their content does not just sell supplements or clothing. It sells the version of themselves that the customer wants to be. They're showcasing athletes with the discipline, with the physique, with the lifestyle that the customer is chasing. Maybe it's a fast lifestyle. Maybe it's a lifestyle of looking good, feeling good, going on runs. They're showcasing the vision of the person their customer desires to become. So therefore, their customer is going to feel like the person that they are marketing with. So if they have someone like Chris Bumstead in a ad and they're showing what he's doing, in that moment, the customer is going to feel like, man, I'm like Chris Bumstead. I'm out here getting to it. I'm out here working hard. That is what they're selling. Because they understand the identity risk, they know exactly what vision to hold up as the destination. The customer sees themselves in the content before they ever see a product. Now, to ask yourself these 3 questions to help you answer this for your product. How do they want to see themselves when it's all said and done? What would achieving that vision say about who they are? What feelings are they ultimately chasing underneath it? The answer to those 3 questions is your content brief for every single post that you make, so the customer will know that you're speaking to them and that you are showing the vision of who they will become. Sell the promised land, not the flight. Don't sell the layover, don't sell the wait. Sell the vision of who your customer is becoming, and let the product be the vehicle that gets them there. Now, we have the 5 layers of customer psychology. We have the ache, the conviction, the tension, the identity risk, the vision. Now, this is the part that is underestimated, and quite literally one of my favorite parts is the E. It's the environment. Your customer isn't just fighting their own resistance, they're fighting everything else that's around them. The environment reveals what your customer's coping mechanism is, what they're using daily, what they are choosing instead of you. You're not just competing against other brands, you're competing against every distraction, every habit, and every default behavior consuming your customer's attention. Because every second they are not spending with you, they're spending with another brand or with just not shopping with you. And the brand that takes the blame off the customer's shoulders, instead of adding to it, wins the trust faster than any other product could. So, imagine someone who grew up in a difficult situation where praise and approval were what they struggled with, right? It was never given freely. The moment someone stands in their pain, stands in the shoes, stands in the mud with them, acknowledges what they've been up against, removes the blame off their shoulders, they feel an immediate release. That's how you want your customers to feel. That relief creates the trust, and that trust creates loyalty faster than any discount or any promotion ever will. Your brand has the ability to do that for your customer every single time you create content. Now, ask yourself these 3 questions. What fills your customers' days that keeps them distracted from solving their problem? What do they default to when they are stressed instead of taking action? What keeps them busy but stuck in the same place? Now, what these answers will do will tell you exactly what your content needs to acknowledge before you even ask your customer to change anything about themselves or buy from you. The greatest thing you can do for your customer is to stop blaming them for where they are. Nobody wants to be held accountable for their environment. The brand that understands this wins the heart of a customer before the sale even occurs. Now, the active framework is not just a marketing tool. It's the difference between a brand that sells and a brand that is trusted. When you understand the ache, the conviction, the tension, the identity risk, the vision, the environment of your customer, you create content for them. You stop creating content for an audience and start creating content for that one person that feels heard, that feels seen. And that person that feels seen, that feels heard. And the moment someone feels seen, and the moment someone feels heard by your brand, they stop looking for alternatives. This is not just better marketing. This is the foundation of every lasting brand that there is. So this framework changed how you see your customers. Drop a comment below with the layer that was the best one for you, that hit the hardest for you. And if you're serious about building a brand that connects before it even converts, subscribe. And I'll see you next video. Keep stacking your days. Stay blessed.